President Paul Biya orders the disbursement of 50 million CFA francs to assist Cameroonian citizens in quarantine cities hit by the coronavirus in China. The president's largesse comes as an answered prayer to their plight. Cameroon joins the globe to commemorate World Mother Tongue Day with a call to promote multilingual education and preserve the over 250 maternal languages of the country and get commemorative activities in this newscast. Boya is set to host the over 500 athletes who have converged on the town for the 25th edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, which kicks off tomorrow. Sports and Physical Education Minister has called on the athletes to cultivate the spirit of fair play. These stories and more right ahead. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on the 7:30 News. I'm Gladys Tata. The President of the Republic has ordered for the disbursement of the sum of 50 million CFA francs to assist Cameroonians in quarantined cities of Wuhan in China following the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus. According to Cameroon government officials in the Ministry of External Relations, the close to 300 Cameroonians living in the province of Hubei, China, are all in good health, including those in Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus. In the following report, Unity Palace correspondent Amin Keng Edward describes President Paul Biya's magnanimous gesture as proof of his consistency and commitment to the welfare of all Cameroonians wherever they find themselves.
It is definitely not the first time and certainly not the last for the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, to demonstrate in the most explicit and the most convincing manner his pretty strong affection and solidarity for his compatriots living far away from home. Be it in sad or joyous moments, the head of state has been with them every step of the way. Come to think of the recent repatriation back home at the behest of the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, of some 250 bona fide citizens of Cameroonian nationality trapped in the illegal sale of humans in war-torn Libya. They all arrived at Simbaland International Airport to join their families safe and sound. Plus, the September 2015 Mina Stampede disaster in Saudi Arabia that killed some 21 Cameroonian pilgrims. President Paul Biya was quick to put the situation under control, ensuring the safe return of the survivors and a befitting burial for those who unfortunately lost their lives. Today, it is the case of the corona deadly virus in China, with 200 Cameroonian citizens quarantined in the city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the epidemic. And in a very spontaneous manner, the President of the Republic has ordered for the disbursement of a colossal sum of 50 million CFA francs to assist his fellow citizens in Wuhan, China, who, according to Cameroon government officials in the Ministry of External Relations, are in good health. In other words, free from the ravaging coronavirus. By this executive order, issued by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, Cameroon joined some of the great nations across the globe, like the United States of America, Japan, and Canada, whose leaders have provided substantial assistance for the safety of their citizens. And by this magnanimous gesture, President Paul Biya has proven beyond the shadow of any possible doubt that his magnanimity is consistent, and that his commitment to the welfare of the Cameroonian people is non-negotiable wherever they find themselves, and regardless of their tribe or their political inclination.
The Brazilian government has declared as fake news any suggested connivance between her and any separatist movement in Cameroon. The country's ambassador to Cameroon has been talking exclusively to the Cameroonian radio television. Ambassador Vivian Los San Martin says Brazil stands for the oneness of Cameroon and her unity. Charles Ebune tells us more.
On December 2 last year, the Barueri Council Executive, southeast of Brazil, took a decision which almost tainted the excellent relations between Cameroon and Brazil by recognizing a secessionist breakaway state movement in Cameroon.
What happened in Barueri was simply an initiative of a councillor, maybe in contact of some of the people who try to defend their discourse. And there was this motion which was approved
Yaoundé firmly protested what the Brazilian government simply calls an unconstitutional act by the Barueri Council.
A legislative motion in the municipal chamber in Brazil has no juridical legal value.
According to the Brazilian federative law, only the president can recognize a new state.
Article 84.7. It is incumbent on the President of the Republic, as head of the federal government, to maintain relations with foreign states and to accredit its diplomatic representatives. Therefore, it falls exclusively to the head of the state, of the federal executive, to recognize nations or territories.
And so Brazil stands for the oneness of Cameroon.
Any publication that seeks to imply that the Brazilian government supports a secessionist movement in Cameroon is false. What we call today false fake news.
Although some 5,000 miles separate Cameroon and Brazil, the two countries are too close for minor injuries to stain their cooperation.
I would rather prefer to mention that there's the Atlantic that unites us. You see, you're facing each other.
Two great football nations with towering stars like Samuel Eto'o's and Neymar Jr. You can expect exchange visits soon.
I would love to tell you.
And where possibly can we have maybe Samuel Eto'o's in Brasilia?
That would be fantastic. Maybe next year.
Today, the Cameroon Telecommunications Backbone Project linking the two countries is a major advancement for development.
It has already improved communications, connections between our two continents, and specifically this part of Africa.
And as the Southern American giant builds a mutually beneficial cooperation with the Central African lion, the tomorrow of Yaoundé and Brasilia looks cordial.
At a press conference in Yaoundé today, organized by a civil society organization known as the Cameroon Association of Victims of Ambazonia Terrorism (CAVAT), victims of secessionist violence have been speaking out about their ordeal. They are seeking justice for the injuries and suffering they have endured for not following the political advocacy of secessionists. CAVAT's leading attorney, Barrister Emmanuel Salai, and a couple of other members of the association came out during this press conference to tell the public that there are still civil remedies for the pain they suffer at the hands of the Ambazonians. Beatrice Losamba has more.
They have taken the bold step to speak up against the trend which the secessionist battle has imposed.
10 heavily armed Amba boys break into my house. They whisked me out of the house, started molesting me in front of my children. One of them thrust a gun at the side of my stomach here and started using those same guns on my children, hitting them.
This is novelty. Few victims have stepped up to complain outrightly for fear of being victimized the more. These victims say they can no longer contain the pain caused by secessionist violence, the hidden face of the 3-year crisis.
They slaughtered my 2 uncles at Kumbu. They came for the second time and attacked me to kill me.
Many more victims complain they are harmed, deprived of their relatives and rights to go to school or work, and many more get killed for going against the advocacy of secessionists. Someone has opted to stand for them. CAVAT, the Cameroon Association of Victims of Ambazonia Terrorism, promises to seek justice and make Ambazonia pay for its crimes.
We filed a separate lawsuit against the Ambazonia interim government, Ambazonia Defense Forces, Ambazonia Governing Council, and certain of their leaders for violation of laws such as the expedition against friendly country. So help save our clients, association members, from present, future, and imminent harm.
Apart from civil lawsuits to perpetrators and their accomplices, they are encouraging diplomatic missions in Cameroon to establish truth and call on victims to speak out. And they have a mantra: never again should Ambazonia make victims.
We take you over to the littoral region where we will talk about the Central African Regional Stock Exchange. BVMAC has effectively begun trading. During the launching ceremony in Douala today, the government of Gabon and the Cameroonian-based company Sofacam sold the first shares since the fusion of the two stock markets. Veronica Benyela tells us more from CRTV Littoral in Douala.
It was at exactly 11:50 a.m. this Friday morning that the Gabonese Minister of Economy and Finance rang the opening bell at the Central African Regional Stock Exchange. Gabon has placed some 5,000 treasury bonds with a final value of 26 billion CFA for the period of 2019-2024. Same ritual followed at 11:56 a.m. by the Director General of Sofacam, placing 5,000 shares of Sofacam on the market. In both transactions, some 3,594 shares were sold at 10,000 francs each. The purchase went down at 100% the market price at closing print. The market ritual was preceded by a protocol ceremony attended by a cross-section of financial market actors in the sub-region. Addressing the guests, the board chair of BVMAC, Mr. Henri-Claude Oyima, described the occasion as a new beginning, not only for the BVMAC, but also for the economy of the Central African region in general. Speaking on behalf of the state of Gabon, the Minister of Finance and Economy, Mr. Jean-Marie Ogandanga, said the sales of 500 treasury bonds mirrors the confidence Gabon has on the regional market. Representing the state of Cameroon, the Secretary General at the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Gilbert Didier Ondoa, encourages businesses to take the cue from companies like Sofacam and invest in the BVMAC to diversify their income. Apart from Sofacam, companies that are trading on the BVMAC are SMEC, Socapam, and Siak Gabon. Trading days are Mondays to Wednesdays, and everyone can sell or buy shares through a brokerage company.
And before we continue this press release, and it reads, the President of the Constitutional Council hereby informs the public and to the parties concerned that hearing of post-electoral disputes on the election of members of the National Assembly of February 9, 2020 will begin on Monday, 24th of February 2020 at 11 a.m. in the courtroom of the Constitutional Council at the Conference Center here in Yaoundé. And this press release has been signed by Clement Atangana. A performance review of Cameroon audience economic situation was at the center of discussion today in Yaoundé as the Minister of Economy, Alamine Ousmane May, received a delegation of CEMAC experts led by the CEMAC Multinational Surveillance Director Jean-Claude Ngemeni. Luma Slim Davies reports.
The visit of the CEMAC delegation to Cameroon is a yearly routine exercise aimed at examining the microeconomic situation in the country as well as its perspectives.
Last year we have been able to display a sustainable growth, which is close to 4%. We have been able to maintain our economy in terms of inflation below 3%. And debt was also maintained at a level which is making our debt situation a sustainable one.
With discussions focusing on the national strategy on export amongst other issues related to economic growth, Cameroon's 2035 economic development vision was well taken into account.
The overall assessment is a positive one, despite different crises our country is facing. These crises are certainly impacting negatively the production capacity of our economy, but we are working hard towards maintaining the course of our economy on the right track. The national strategy for development and the different sectorial policies to transform our economy and to promote industrialization will help us improve on our growth rate and also make sure that our economy is growing in an inclusive manner.
Cameroon, as a key player in boosting the sub-regional economy, is looked upon as an inspiration.
The third session of the Cameroon-Congo Border Demarcation Mixed Commission has ended in Douala with 4 major decisions: the signing of a legal framework for the Mixed Commission, setting its internal regulations, the signing of its terms of reference, plus the putting in place of a plan of action. The heads of the 2 delegations, Paul Atanganji, Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, and Raymond Séverin Boulou, Congolese Minister of the Interior and Decentralization, reiterated that they are working to build bridges, not separation, with their borderlines. Here is an excerpt of Minister Paula Tanganji, selected by Kilianda Ntifon.
Between Cameroon and the Republic of Congo, we don't have any boundary issues. But as you can understand, I think that the map we have now was put in place in 1908. And you can understand that more than 100 years after, we have to go back and see exactly what is happening. I think the African Union has put in place a charter, and that all the states should follow, that update the boundaries so we know the limitations and we know where all the projections are. And I think that we went to Congo, we had a very nice meeting. We have come here again to do the same exercise, and we want to thank the two heads of state, President Paul Biya and President Denis Sassou Nguesso, who have given us all this financial and material support so that the two delegations should meet and brainstorm and work for the interests of the two countries. We have a program of action. We have to exercise this, do this exercise in 2020-2021. So after this meeting, the heads of state will give us another mandate to meet. All the legal instruments have been put in place, and I think that as for now, what we can retain is that we don't have any boundary issues between the Republic of Congo and the Republic of Cameroon.
And as you heard in one of our lead stories, Cameroon has joined its counterparts worldwide to commemorate the 21st edition of the International Mother Tongue Day under the slogan, Languages Without Borders. On the occasion to mark the event in Cameroon, Basic Education Minister Professor Laurent Serge Tundingwa called on everyone to promote multilingual education and preserve the over 250 maternal languages of Cameroon. Cynthia Etim attended the official ceremony here in Yaoundé and reports that it was an opportunity for pupils to express themselves in different dialects.
One of the high points of the commemoration of the International Mother Tongue Day was the singing of the national anthem in the Bassa language. In line with this year's Mother Tongue Day too, the pupils presented shows flaunting their mastery of the mother tongue. During the celebration of the 21st edition of the International Mother Tongue Day, Basic Education Boss used the occasion to call on the population to double efforts in promoting mother tongue, which is considered as the most powerful instrument that can safeguard linguistic diversity and reconcile linguistic communities.
The very first environment of the child is the mother tongue. And when you know that all our culture is transmitting through this mother tongue, it is normal that we preserve our mother tongue because they are our identity.
Promoters of local languages have pledged to continue to work with government to uphold the use of mother tongue. The day has been observed under the theme, Languages Without Barriers.
Government High School Angisa in Yaoundé is committed to preserve local languages through education. This was depicted during a ceremony organized in the school to mark the 21st edition of the World Mother Tongue Day, celebrated under the theme, Language Without Borders. Victor Siga has more.
Through dances, songs, sketches and poems, students of the Government High School Angisa demonstrated their mastery of the mother tongue. The national anthem was sung in the Pangbeti language drawn from the Central Region Cultural Zone.
The motivation is in encouraging our learners to learn at home their mother tongue, which will facilitate or enhance integration in the nation and living together with others. Just want to show them the importance of seeking the mother tongue.
In line with the Ministry of Secondary Education's desire to make local language have a place in the educational system, today's event aimed at raising awareness on the rich cultural heritage of Cameroon.
My mother tongue is to communicate mostly in secret. When we are with my brothers in the middle of people who are not hearing my mother tongues. It permits me to tell them, to communicate some secret with them.
With close to 240 tribes with a catalogue of national languages, Cameroon's cultural diversity is an asset which, according to the principal, needs to be valorized.
Some linguists in Yaoundé state that developing national languages is not possible. With 239 existing national languages, the focus is to extend the capacity of such languages by giving it a new status in the territory. In 2008, the government undertook certain measures aimed at giving a new status to the mother tongue. Through the Ministry of Basic Education, a national language secular reform was implemented in which 4 national languages were taught in some schools. What measures are put in place to guarantee the continuity of our existing mother tongue? Cynthia Saptala went finding out and brought back this report.
In the words of some linguists, national languages are not developed. The interest, they say, is finding ways to use any of the 239 mother tongues existing nationwide to express new concepts or new ideas.
You have chemistry. You say there are words in chemistry that we don't have in our mother tongue. But if you go to the practices, community practices, you will see how are you expressing this and that. You find that the word is existing. Any language is a system. It means that there are rules for the expansion of the vocabulary.
To ensure the continuity of these multitude of languages, the government undertook a national language curricular reform in 2008. It was followed by the creation of a Faculty of Cameroon Languages and Culture at the Higher Teachers Training College, where teachers are trained on how to educate children in the mother tongue.
Any language, we teach you how to teach. It is not because you are a speaker of a language that you are automatically a teacher. And we know that variations exist in any language. Then we will have then a pedagogy of the variations. We want to have multilingual education because mother tongue will go in the classroom with French, with English. We teach them the process, how to go about it, multilingual education pedagogy.
But the main challenge today is bridging the gap at home.
We are forgetting socially, forgetting our mother tongues. And that's why when we have children at home, we decide not to use our mother tongues to them. And later on, we face problems. We are 25 millions. And we, the 25 millions of Cameroonians, we are potential teachers of English and French. If you go to a specific family, there are just 2 potential teachers of mother tongue.
Today, over 41 national languages are taught in different schools throughout the territory. Linguists add that it requires a combined effort from government, teacher, and parents alike to preserve national languages.
And you're watching the 7:30 News live here in Yaoundé. The 2019-2021 biannual batch of students of CRTV's Audiovisual Training Institute in Ekono here in Yaoundé has been christened Alain Bilibi. This was during a solemn matriculation ceremony chaired by the corporation's Director General, Shan Dongo. Rainatu Sali reports that focus on this year's inaugural discourse is on talent development.
The over 200 students walking into CRTV's Audiovisual Training Institute will have to follow in the footsteps of their patron, Alain Bilibi, by nurturing their talent and delivering their best, just like their model seasoned journalist.
It's a huge responsibility, and I hope I will assume it. I want them to be good journalists, excellent journalists, and I'll help them as I can.
It is the solemn reopening of the biennial batch of the CRTV Audiovisual Training Institute for the 2019-2021 academic year. The corporation's general manager's inaugural lesson on talent development gave guidelines on how to make good of their talent.
Talent, my dear friends, is something important in human beings' life. In fact, talent is the key ingredient to success. Talent helps you differentiate from ordinary people. Talent coupled with hard work helps you build or develop craftsmanship. You can't buy talent, but you can nurture it.
Shan Dongo, flanked by his close collaborators, challenged the Alain Bilibi batch to be disciplined and rigorous during their 2-year stay. in the institution.
Members of the National Steering and Follow-up Committee for the implementation of the project of African Centers of Excellence on Higher Education of the World Bank have reached resolutions geared at digitalizing universities in Cameroon. They were meeting in their fourth session in Yaoundé under the chair of the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famdongo, in the presence of the Rector of the University of Yaoundé 1, Professor Maurice Aurélien Soso. At the end of the session, Professor Jacques Famdongo expounded on the issues discussed. He was interviewed by Gilbert Ongene. Let's have a listen.
First of all, I want to congratulate the Rector of the University of Yaoundé 1 and the coordinator of this very important project, CETIC, because they have been very proactive, very competitive for the success of this very important experience in the academic domain. Now, as this CETIC will end on the month of March, we must find solutions for the implementation of this project. We have found a lot of solutions, and I am sure that when this project will end, the project of the World Bank, when this project will end, we will have solutions, very efficient solutions for the presentation of this very important project, which is a project for digitalization of our universities. It is very important. As you know, the head of state has asked us to digitalize the universities, and the CETIC project is one of the most important for this great operation.
Staff of the Ministry of Public Health have drawn the balance sheet for last year and made projections for 2020, which lays emphasis on improving on health infrastructure in the country. This was during the presentation of New Year wishes to the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malachi. Details with Alice Mbey.
The New Year wishes ceremony was led by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Public Health, Professor Sinata Kula Shiro, with flowers and gifts, followed by workers from the central and devolved services. During the event, the Secretary General presented a balance sheet of last year's plan of action and spelled out the roadmap for the year 2020.
It is now time to act with the health system reform. There were 4 thematics that were presented. One on universal health coverage, the second one on ethics and deontology in terms of administration. The third presentation was to inform particularly the managers on budgeting and before programming planification.
Medals of different categories were awarded to deserving workers and end-of-course certificates handed over to 13 young medical graduates who have undergone 2 years training in epidemiology in the University of Boya. Other highlights of the ceremony was a farewell to those going on retirement and the signing of performance contract with some hospitals. The minister used this opportunity to call on workers to be more committed to their jobs, laying emphasis on quality services to patients.
And in culture this weekend, there will be live musical shows and film projections in Yaoundé, Ngaoundéré, and Douala. Adela Bikin and Mr. Shine will thrill the public this weekend. The film Queen and Slim will be screened at the Canal Olympia Hall in Douala. More on this weekend's cultural agenda with Natasha Lehman-Losha.
We open the weekend's cultural agenda with music. Adela Bikim, Malox and Bismarck will be on stage tonight at the Fromaric Festival. The show at the Camtel Club in Bepanda, Douala begins at 8 p.m. Bimas Bizou will steam the Free Bourgeois Cabaret at the Oja neighborhood in Yaoundé this Saturday as from 10 p.m.
Mr. Shine, Hitmaster.
Afro hip-hop artist Mr. Shine will hold the public of Ngaoundéré spellbound throughout the weekend when he mounts the stage for different concerts at the Mazenot College. In cinema, the film titled Bad Boys for Life will be projected today at the Canal Olympia Hall of Yaoundé as from 8:30 p.m.
Within the Black Bonnie and Clyde.
At the Canal Olympia Hall Bessengue Douala, Queen and Slim will be on screens as from 10:30 p.m.
Bienvenue sur l'île fantastique.
Nightmare Island will be projected at the Eden Cinema Hall in Douala Sunday as from 5 p.m.
Comment ça fonctionne? Et si notre souhait concerne une personne qui nous est proche? Il y a les hologrammes.
Have a blessed weekend.
And let's talk sports now, where Sports and Physical Education Minister Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi has called on the over 500 athletes to take part in this year's Mount Cameroon Race of Hope to cultivate the spirit of fair play. He was speaking this afternoon in Boya while presiding over the opening ceremony of this year's Mount Cameroon Race under the theme, Let's Give Peace a Chance. Baldwin Sama tells us more from Boya.
Traditional rulers of Fako division gathered together, interceding for ancestral blessings for this year's mountain race as part of Friday's official opening ceremony. The march past of the different delegations, represented by the over 500 athletes from 7 different participating countries, was one of the high points of the official opening ceremony. Both the new mayor of Boya and the president of the Cameroon Athletics Federation, Motombi Mbome, in their respective speeches welcomed all and sundry to Boya and announced a unique and successful race this year like the previous. Sports and Physical Education Minister Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi laid emphasis on the theme of this year's race, giving peace a chance, calling on the different athletes to cultivate the spirit of fair play and living together. Traditional dances spiced the official opening ceremony, with expected winners of this race to be known this Saturday.
And in less than 24 hours, some 546 athletes from Cameroon and 8 other countries shall hit the track for the 25th edition of Mount Cameroon Race of Hope. Ahead of tomorrow's race, final preparations were made today in Boya as the town gets ready for the event. Jeffrey Abane reports on the atmosphere at the Moliko Omnisport Stadium early today.
D-Day -1, the Moliko Omnisport Stadium is braced up for the 25th Mount Cameroon Race of Hope. Final installations are being mounted, while on the sidelines, rehearsals for the protocolar ceremony are on. Just as has been the tradition throughout the history of the race, cultural groups are present in their numbers to give the event some color. Some, though, are already tired, even before the start, and do not mind taking a short nap on the floor. Meanwhile, for the athletes, it is first about checking their names on the list of eligible competitors published by the National Athletics Federation before queuing up for the all-important medical checkups. But not everyone shares the joy of featuring amongst the 546 who shall challenge the chariot of the gods in under 24 hours.
I already started the race since December. But unfortunately, when I came here in Boya, I could have the license, but my name is not found on the main list.
But not everyone shares the joy of featuring amongst the 546 who shall challenge the chariot of the gods in under 24 hours.
I know that this time I have struggled to balance out my training to see whether I can still perform as how I used to do for the past year. Because this time I've really worked hard to progress on the tower. You know, when we are starting, they used to give me a lot of gap on the tower. Before we meet them in the bush, they have already gone far.
That notwithstanding, the stage is set for another promising edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, with security also in check to ensure the safety of all.
And as you heard earlier on, the 25th edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope has been launched, and with many aspects contributing to its success. Bongo Francis got interested in some attractions that added color to the event. He puts together the following report.
The launch of this year's Mount Cameroon Race of Hope was colorful indeed, thanks to some activities that spiced it up. First, this sacred traditional display which saw Bakuri traditional leaders pour blessings and rite for a safe race of athletes up and down the chariots of the gods. Through this act, they appeased Epasiamoto, the god of the mountain, for a safe race. It was equally the occasion to showcase the rich cultural dances of our country. The event was not far from a cultural festival with brilliant performances from the Orokos, Bakweri, Ejagam, Makuni and Sawa natives who offered a spectacle of skillful dancing to the pleasure of the population. And there was also this little girl, or will I say elastic girl. The intricate twists and figures she executed made her a touristic sight. Her snake-like moves were out of this world. And of course, the queen of the mountain, had her presence felt. In this stand lay the legacy of the 7 times winner of the Race of Hope. Here present was a multitude of trophies and recognition that made her a legend. And as for these kids, the mountain race just meant another opportunity to play games. From draft to baby foot, the youngsters did enjoy themselves.
The Golden Book of Cameroon Football, prefaced by President Paul Biya, has been launched at the Yaoundé Hilton Hotel. Published by the Cameroon News and Publishing Agency, SOPECAM, the launch was chaired by the Communication Minister, René Emmanuel Sadi, in the presence of the Director of the Civil Cabinet of the Presidency of the Republic, Samuel Mvondo Ayolo. Charles Ebune tells us more.
This is the Golden Book of Cameroon Football, a 263-page document prefaced by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya.
It's bringing Cameroonians together, living together. We got everything inside that the Golden Book of Cameroon Football.
A sexagenarian history, the Instrumentum Laboris, is a publication of the Cameroon News and Publishing Agency, viewed as a masterpiece.
I want to congratulate first SOPECAM, and you must know that if the head of state decided to preface this book, it means very important.
To attend the book launch at the Yaoundé Hilton Hotel, football stars, past and present, football managers, past and present, a cream of the Cameroonian cabinet architecture, plus the Director of the Civil Cabinet of the Presidency of the Republic, Samuel Mvondo Ayolo.
I'm so happy for the initiative for make this book. First, it's really good because the President of the Republic of Cameroon have make a big sign for this historic publication for football.
The stars take to the rostrum to hail the initiative of this comprehensive publication handling male and female football in the country and its role in the construction of the Cameroonian identity.
Football has been a very unifying factor. It has brought honor to the country. When we won games, there were no Anglophones, Francophones.
The chair of the launch, Communication Minister René Emmanuel Sadi, hails the initiative and praises President Paul Biya for this work, which comes days before Cameroon hosting of the CHAN and the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations.
I think this is a moment. I want to talk of a historic moment for us to know what was done before. And I'm already prepared, I'm ready to read the book.
The preface by President Biya is a reminder that one word is enough for Cameroon football to remain in the mode of the lion fighting spirit, like this.
And it is here we put a cap on this edition of the 7:30 News. Join Atabadine Omar in under 30 minutes, in under 20 minutes for the news in French. And I'll be in your company tomorrow at 7:30. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.